Hey everyone, Josh here, Wargaming Noob and Wargaming Noob Historical. Trying something a little different. I was thinking of maybe filming some behind the scenes work of how we film battle reports here on the channel. And I set up a webcam, laptop, and my blue snowball mic to get some recording in. So this is the live portion, or the recorded live portion. It's actually not live. It's just what's going to be recorded and not edited. So what will happen here is that I will, you're going to basically see everything that's going behind how I'm filming turns and stuff like that. Whereas the battle report will actually be filmed using my little, if I can show you guys, my little stick and my phone. So it's more dynamic. This will be the static shot, and it will actually give you guys an insight into all the stuff that happens behind the scenes of filming a battle report on the channel. So unedited, which means that there might be some cussing, there might be some noise. My 5-year-old might wander into frame and do something weird. But other than that, this is as real as it's going to get for you guys. Anyway, what we have set up here is classic Battletech, or Battletech, just Battletech. I only use the term classic Battletech to differentiate it from the Alpha Strike game. Those are two different games. And obviously, if we're playing Hex, we're playing classic Battletech, or just Battletech proper. Tomorrow, James and I will be filming an Alpha Strike battle report, our first one. We are still learning the game. We've been fans of like MechWarrior and Battletech, the property, for a long time, especially me, but have hardly played the actual Battletech game or the Alpha Strike game. So when we film tomorrow, you're going to see a lot of mistakes. You're going to see a lot of flubs. And hopefully it's still an enjoyable watch. I'm sure that James and I are going to enjoy it. In fact, the reason why we're playing is because we actually got this. So this was part of James's Christmas present this year. He's a big Clan Wolf fan. And that's pretty much the only clan that he's going to play. So I went over to Barnes & Noble, found that. In fact, I filmed a unboxing. You may find a link up above to your upper right, maybe, if I get everything squared away. And then you can see an unboxing of the Barnes & Noble exclusive Wolf's Dragoons Assault Star. So he's very excited about that. He hasn't had a chance to paint yet, so please forgive him for not having painted minis. In fact, please forgive me for not having painted minis. The Alpha Strike battle report that we're going to film tomorrow is going to have mostly painted minis on my side and no painted minis on James' side. We're working on it. So, and contrast paints are your friend. I've been using contrast paints, and I'm hoping that's going to make a huge difference in terms of getting my mechs all painted up. But in any case, I'm just filming this intro. I'm going to pause it in a little while. But what I wanted to go through is kind of what's happening today while you guys are watching this. So I have everything from the beginner box set up. I have the rule set here. I have the desert map. It's actually a two-sided map, as you can see, like grassland. But they're saying use the Desert 1 map that was included in the box. And then I actually have, and I'll show this to you guys, the mech sheets that were included. So these mech sheets were actually intended to for players to be able to actually use dry erase markers. I didn't want to risk it. I like the look of these sheets, and unfortunately, moving forward with the game, you're not going to have anything like this. You're going to print out paper sheets from wherever, either the record sheet books or from other websites. But I wanted these to be a little bit sturdier, so I laminated them. And it's definitely not going to leave any mark once we erase the marks there. So that's what I did. I also laminated the map. I haven't laminated any of the other paper maps, and I'm still kind of on the fence about that. But, sorry, I'm out of frame, guys. Even though we have these paper maps, I actually have 3 of these battle mats. So moving forward, after maybe the first few initial games, we're going to start using the neoprene mats. And then for Alpha Strike, we have 4x4 mats, or maps that we're going to use for those battle reports. I think we want to stick with the Hex with Classic Battletech only because it'll be easier for us to pick it up. But eventually, you can play Classic Battletech hexless. It's a little bit different, and just needless to say, we're not there yet. So anyway, that is what's happening. That's our plan. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause, kind of collect myself, and try to figure out how to get started on this. And then I will start filming again, just with the webcam here. I don't think that I will actually be filming the battle report with phone and the rig here, only because this is a learning game, and eventually when I do the play it from the box game for the beginner's box, I want it to be a little bit more polished and clean and easy to watch, so that you guys outside of this video are not subjected to my cussing and children running around. And we live on a corner, so on a very busy street, so you're going to hear a lot of trucks because there's a Home Depot right across the street from us. So in the more polished battle report, you don't get to see or hear any of that stuff. But this is just a learning game for me. And then I will film an actual battle report for the beginner's box, and then go from there. So, all right. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this intro. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to continue getting settled and trying to figure out how to get this started. And then I'm going to come right back. So, all right, guys, welcome back to the semi-live behind-the-scenes recording for Battletech. If you hear some noise off in the distance, like some coughing, that's my 5-year-old. He decided he wanted to come out here into the kitchen and play on his computer. So I moved the dice tray over just a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see that all that well, just so that we can capture some of the dice. So I'm actually going to take this gameplay sequence slow, because again, this is my first time really diving heavy into Battletech, and I know that it isn't that hard when it comes to the beginner's rule book, but obviously I want to film something decent here. So excuse me. So today we're going to have the two mechs from the beginner's box face off against each other based on the scenario. Let me bring that up real quick. My son has a little bit of a cold, so you guys might hear that coughing. All right, so based on the scenario, including the beginner's box, we're going to use a Griffin N, 1N. So the Griffin 1N, right there. If it would focus. Well, it's the Griffin 1N. I'll show you guys that. And then the Wolverine 6R. So these are basically your standard Wolverine and Griffin. I guess I don't know if they're the most common, but they're definitely the ones that they want you to use. What I notice is that on the Griffin 1N, this is more of like a standoffish ranged medium mech, because it does have one LRM 10 and one PPC 10, whereas the Wolverine is quite the opposite. It's actually the close-in brawler, so he has one medium laser, one SRM 6, and AC 5. So yeah, two mechs that are not similar, with a different set of talents on each side, one being a long-ranged mech, the other more of a close-in brawling mech. So, alright, we got that out of the way. I'm going to turn back to the sequence here. So, I don't have any of the hex terrain out here, so I'm not going to worry about that, but there is terrain on the map itself. So there's light and heavy woods, and that's it. There's no hills on here, so there's no change in elevation. There's just light and heavy woods. And obviously that's going to affect your movements. So when you move into light woods, it would cost 2 movement points rather than 1 in a clear hex. And then if you were to move into a heavy, it would cost 3, I think. I'll clarify that as we continue on through the book here. So here's a sequence of play: initiative, movement, and then weapon attack phase. And I guess that's it in this beginner's rule book. I think there was another phase, but I could be wrong. Again, I'm pretty new to this. So I'm going to roll off initiative. So what I have here are 4 dice. The blue will be for the Wolverine, and the black will be for the Griffin. So whoever wins initiative, I think, will go second. So in terms of why that is. And in most games, really, when you roll and you win initiative, the person who wins usually goes first. But here, in Battletech, you go second. And that's the reason why, is that it's giving the... I guess the assumption is if you're going second, you have a better tactical view of what's going on. Whereas the person who lost initiative gets to go first won't have that when there are, receiving fire or on the basically getting it from the opponent. So I'm going to roll the dice here. We'll see who wins initiative. So we got an 8 for blue, which is the Wolverine, and 11 for black, which is the Griffin. So the Griffin is going to go second in this turn. So I'm going to pause real quick, collect myself, and we'll be right back. All right, so we're back. We're going to do the movement. The Wolverine lost initiative, so he gets to move first. And the Wolverine has 5 walk, 8 run, and 5 jump. So we're actually just going to walk because we're going to take this. We're going to take this slowly. We're going to take it easy. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's the Wolverine. Now that the Griffin has seen what the Wolverine's going to do, he's actually going to move, and I'm actually going to move him into cover. I think that's what we're going to do, just so that I can show off a little bit of the rules here. 1 second. All right, one thing that I did miss with the Wolverine is that I missed spending a movement point on pivoting, because I believe, and I'm going to have to watch this, so again, this is kind of just going naturally without any real stops. I went this way, and then I should have pivoted and then came this way, and I didn't. So I'm going to move this guy back 1, and we're going to continue on from there. So yeah, just so you know, anytime you change your facing in the game, it does require you to spend a movement point. So just keep that in mind when you are doing your movement. All right, so what I'm going to do now is just look up the rules for the terrain. So, terrain costs when entering any new hex. If it's clear, it's 0. If it's light woods, it's +1. So, I'm going back on what I said. I said +2. It's actually 1. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to pivot. So that's 1, 2, and then 3, 4. So that just added, so normally it would be 1, but because I'm entering light wood, it's another movement point, and that brings me to 4. And now I'm going to pivot once more, and now I have spent all my movement. So, all right, let me figure out what's coming up next and be right back. All right, so I've just been looking at the record sheets here. The furthest range that my Wolverine can hit is 9, and unfortunately, this Griffin is 10 hexes away. So none of my weapons are actually, you know what? Hold on a second. One of my weapons will hit. So my medium laser, my SRM6, definitely not going to hit because it's at a range of 9 and he's at 10. However, my AC5 can hit up to a range of 18. And because the Griffin is 10 hexes away, that actually lands me on medium, which is 12. So on the card here, I don't know if you guys can see that clearly. I really wish it would focus. Well, in any case, the AC5 has a maximum 12 as for medium range. So I can actually hit him with the AC5. Let me figure out what I'm going to do with that, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, now that I've figured it out. So, my basic pilot in the Wolverine has a gunnery skill of 4. He walked, so that's +1. So that's currently at a 5. My target, the Griffin, moved 5 hexes, so that's +2 for the TMM. So that brings me to 7. And then I'm also in Lightwood, which brings me to 8. For intervening, yeah. So 8. So I gotta roll an 8 to see if I actually hit with my AC5. So we're gonna give that a shot and see what happens. Oops. And I actually hit with a 9. So we get a hit, and let me figure out what I need to do from there. Right, if I'm reading that right, that was a successful hit. I did mark my record sheet here with 1 red dot, indicating that we spent 1 out of the 20 shots that are available to the AC 5, and the damage the damage that was done to the Griffin is a total of 5. So now I have to roll to see where I hit. Oops. And that's 2d6. So I hit 10, which means that the Griffin is going to get 5 damage to the left arm. So just mark that off. And then now it's the Griffin's turn. So, let me get these dice out of the way. The Griffin, he moved, he has a gunnery of 4. He walked, so that's 5. And then my Wolverine, who's in clear cover, moved 5 hexes. So, that's a 7. So I'll need to roll a 7 up with the Griffin. We're going to fire with both weapons, the PPC and the LRM-10. But, okay, so I know that we're at 10 distance, so that puts me in medium range for both LRM-10 and PPC. So we're going to go with the PPC first. Yeah, we'll go with the PPC first. So I need to roll a 7. And the PPC missed with a 6. So now I'm going to hit with the LRM-10. I do get 12 volleys, or 12 shots with the LRM-10, so I need a 7. And I actually hit with the 7, so I'm going to mark this as 1 shot being used. That is 10 damage, and that damage is going to go to number 4. So 4 is the right arm. Ouch. That was a pretty bad hit to the Wolverine. Okay, so I think everything is cool. You know what I forgot to do is actually mark what these guys are doing in terms of their movement. So again, this is something new to me, but you can so that your opponent understands whether or not that this particular mech or that particular mech walked, ran, or jumped. You would use colored dice. So for walking, it would be white, and then for running, it would be black. I don't have a lot of black dice, so I'm using these like dark gray or smoke dice to kind of show that. And then red, I believe, will be for jumping, as far as I know. I'm just going to make sure. Yep, that's correct. And I think in the proper game, they actually use yellow for another movement type, which is not covered in the basic rules that are here. So, on the next turn, I'm going to make sure that we mark that. And then, the pips on the dice will indicate the movement modifier. So, for example, with the the Wolverine, when we walked, I would have put a white die, and then, where is that? Sorry, guys. I know this is all kind of new to me, so I know that there's a. Here we go. So I guess it would be like a 1, maybe. I think that's how it works. But for this guy, because I walked into heavy, it would be 2, something like that. I got to figure that out. So I'll figure that out later. Again, this is a learning game. I'm going to hopefully master this learning portion before we actually do the beginner's box play from the box. So, all right. I think at this point, that is the end of the turn. We determine damage. Yeah, so at this point. So for this scenario, really, I'm trying to kill one of these mechs. That's what's going to happen. So, we're going to go to turn 2. And I'm going to roll off to see who has initiative. So, Wolverine gets 3, and the Griffin gets 6. So, the Griffin, once again, has the advantage of trying to figure out what the Wolverine is doing. So, obviously, the Wolverine, being a close-in brawler, needs to move up. So, we're gonna do that. So, he's going to move up there. He walked. So, TMM of 1. Right? I think that's how it is. if you guys see mistakes that I am making in this playthrough, please comment below. Let me know. I want to be able to learn this game properly. It's a venerable game. It's been around for ages. I just want to make sure that I'm doing it right. So, any mistakes, point them out. Let me know, and we'll fix it for the next games. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this back, and I'm only taking this back because I'm playing myself. So I'm going to move up the 4, and then I'm going to pivot, and that's it. So I think the front arc, which are the 3 front hex sides on the mech, are your line of sight. I didn't have to pivot, but I wanted to kind of reinforce that like a movement point is used up when you pivot the mech. So that is what I'm doing. All right. You know what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move out of cover with the Griffin, and yeah, he's just going to walk. And I'm keeping in mind that he is a long-ranged mech, so I want to keep distance between us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move 5 in this direction. To right there. And I'm not pivoting or anything like that, because now, I don't know, I don't believe that. So the Wolverine no longer has line of sight to the Griffin, so that was a good move on the Griffin's part. And now the Wolverine won't be able to do anything, but the Griffin can. So we'll move to the attack phase. And the one thing that's not being covered here in the beginner rules are heat. Because obviously you don't want to keep firing all your weapons all the time, because heat's going to get generated. On these record sheets, there's no heat tracker. So I guess that's something that you're going to learn when you move over to a game of armored combat, is tracking your heat. In the beginner's box, you don't have to worry about that. So, alright. I'm going to fire all my weapons at the Wolverine. Let's see. PPC, LRM. Let's count how many hexes away. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Alright. So my LRM is in short range. And so it would be medium. I think it would be medium because I'm over short range for the PPC. So we're going to do... So that's... Okay. I'm going to circle back. I'm going to wind it back a little bit. Now I've got to figure out... Wolverine can't shoot, so he's foregoing his weapons phase, his attack phase. Griffin's going to go. Griffin moved, clear, so 1. So gunnery, 4, plus 1. And then the Wolverine moved, so that's plus 1. For the LRMs, 0 modifier, so all I need to do is roll a 6. I need a 6. So I'm going to roll 6. And that's a miss on the LRM. But with the PPC, because I'm now in the medium range, I'm just like 1 hex away from the short range on the PPC, it does add a modifier of 2. So I would need to roll an 8 with the PPC. And I do. So the Griffin actually hits the Wolverine with the PPC. And that actually causes 10 damage. So we're going to see where that hits. And it hits the 7. And the 7 is a center torso. So he's going to take 10 to the center torso. Gosh. So then Wolverine is being wrecked by the Griffin. The Griffin has a distinct advantage at this point because of the long-range weapons and the fact that the Wolverine keeps losing initiative for this turn. So that's pretty much done. We're pretty much done with turn 2. We're going to move on to turn 3. But alright guys, it is the top of turn 3. I'm going to roll initiative. Let's see if the Wolverine can get something on the Griffin other than the initial strike he did in the first turn. So, the Griffin and the Wolverine both roll 7s. We're going to re-roll. And They both roll 6s again, so we're going to reroll. And this time the Wolverine has one with a roll of 6. The Griffin rolled 4. So we are now going to try to see if we can get a little bit of revenge on this Griffin. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move. Actually, the Griffin's going to move first. I keep forgetting. The person or opponent that loses initiative gets to go first. So we're going to move the Griffin. I'm going to try to get the Griffin back into cover because obviously that's going to be better. So, actually, the Griffin and the Wolverine both have jump jets. So I'm going to jump. Now you guys are going to have to tell me whether or not I'm doing this correctly. So I'm going to make a jump from this hex here to the light woods right there. If I lost any sort of movement point because I entered... Oh, you know what? Alright, you guys are going to have to correct me. I did jump into light wood, so I don't know if that cost me an extra point to enter the light wood. So you guys are going to let me know. Just comment below. Alright? So now the Wolverine's going to move. He's going to pivot and then move up 4. Actually, I'm going to move, pivot, so that's 2, 3, look, hold on. Yeah. To there. So obviously that's 1, and then because the Griffin jumped, and now I'm going to use these movement dice properly. Actually, let me clarify what the TMM on jumping is. Alright, just referring to the rule book, I think I did it right initially on the jump. So when I moved here to there, it only cost the 1 movement, I guess. And also because I am in light cover here, I'm changing this to a 2. I believe that's how you do it. Again, make corrections if you need to. Let me know how that's supposed to work out. Alright, sorry about that, guys. So when I moved from here to here by jumping, it did only... I could move into the terrain as if I was not hindered. So it was just a clear move. So I'm putting him at 1. But then, because he's in cover, and this is just because I'm going to attack with the Wolverine to the Griffin, I'm going to set this to 2. And then we'll find out if that's going to cause any problems. Alright, so as I was saying... When I jumped from here to here into the light wood for the Griffin, that did not cost me any extra movement and would be treated as a 1 on jump. But I also added 1 because I'm in light wood. That way I realize or know that when I shoot with the Wolverine, that's the modifier that I need to use. So, alright. I'm going to pause this a second, collect myself, and then we'll move on to the next phase. Alright guys, so I'm going to need your input on this, so comment below. It says in jumping that the jumping mech suffers a +3 target number, so it'll be harder for him or the mech to target the enemy. And then it says that there may be a modifier for jumping, but I'm trying to look at this real quickly so that I can continue the game quickly, but I'm not finding it. So if you guys can let me know what that modifier would have been for jumping, then I would appreciate it. In the meantime, I'm just going to use the TMM from him moving 5 hexes. So that's +2, just like it says on the red die here. So, alright. We're going to move to the attack phase. I think at this point, all of the weapons for the Wolverine are in range. We have both the medium laser, SRM6, and the AC5. Let's see. So I'm going to do my hex measurement. We're 1, 2, 3, 4. So, I believe that the medium laser is still within like a medium range because it is above short, which is 3 hexes. Again, if I'm doing this wrong, please let me know. So we'll do the medium laser first, and then we'll go through each of the other weapons. So I moved 1, so that brings me up to 5. And then the Griffin jumped, which is 2. 7 plus 1 because of light wood. That brings me to an 8, so I need an 8 up. And I got boxcars. So let me look at something real quick. So I don't know. I don't think that the beginner rules have any critical hit stuff, and I'm not sure if boxcars actually equals a critical hit. If you guys know that, me as a new player would appreciate that information. So obviously, successful hit with the medium laser. That causes 5 damage. We're going to roll to see what location. It's going to be 10. And 10 is the left arm. So it's going to take 5 more damage, the Griffin, in the arm. That brings it, as you can see, that arm is getting hurt quite a bit. Not as hurt as the Wolverine, though. Alright, so now we're going to move to the SRM-6. The SRM-6 has a short range of 3. So we're 4 hex away. I'm going to go with the medium. So that's a +2 modifier. +1, that's 3. So that's 7 already. +2 for jump. That's 8. Lightwood, 9. I think I rolled it wrong last turn. I think I needed to roll a 9. If my math is off again, let me know. So at this point, I'm going to try to roll a 9 or above. And that's a miss with the SRMs. All right. So we have the AC5 now. It is within short range, so there is no range modifier on that. Currently it's 5. Let's see. 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to roll an 8. 8 or above. And that's a miss on the AC5. So now we go to the Griffin here. So both of the weapons for the Griffin are actually medium to long range weapons, and I'm below. Is there? And I'm asking this question to you guys as the audience: is there a negative modifier for being too close with your long range weapons? So I'm just going to roll it as is. You guys can correct me in the comments below, and then we'll go from there. So let's do the LRM-10. Let's see. Oh, in fact, I think I need to spend... Yeah, there we go. Forgot to mark the second volley of missiles from last turn. Alright, so... He moved 1... Okay, hold on a second. Because I jumped, I get a +3. You know what? I know I'm doing this wrong. So this... Okay, this is +3, right? Okay. So he's gunnery of 4, +3, that's 7. And then he moved, that's 8. He's in clear. Okay, so we need an 8. And I got a 7, so that's a miss. And now we're going to go with the PPC. Also an 8. And we got that. And the location is 8. So that would be left torso. And he took 10 damage to left torso. So the Wolverine is quite hurt compared to the Griffin. I'm hoping, at least for the Wolverine's sake, that the Wolverine will get initiative this next turn. So again, in a game of Armored Combat, we would be tracking heat and all that fun stuff. Beginner rules don't have that, so we're going to move on to initiative phase. And I think at this point we're going to keep this as the last turn, turn 4, only because this is a learning game. And obviously what I'm looking for is feedback from you guys as the audience to let me know what I flubbed, so that when I actually do film the Beginner's Box Battle Report, which is going to be very similar to this, just more clean, with less distraction, then it'll look more of a polished battle report, polished product. So, all right, initiative for turn 4, last turn. So Wolverine got 7 and the Griffin got 8. So the Griffin is going to move last. But at this point, I don't know if that's going to be... Well, actually, let's just play it through and see who has the real advantage here. Because obviously, the Wolverine would normally just probably move in closer so that the SRMs will hit. But because the Wolverine is hurt a lot more than the Griffin, and this is the last turn, I actually may move this backwards. Okay, so I was actually thinking of moving the Wolverine backwards, but I don't think that matters because the Griffin is just... I think the Griffin has superior weapons because of the range, right? If I were to move back, it wouldn't make too much of a difference. So we're just going to move in. We're going to move into cover. So I'm going to pivot. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like that. And now that I am in heavy cover, that'll be 2 to walk. Alright. I think I can see why this is more fun when you have multiple mechs. It just adds a more layer of complexity to it. So what I'm gonna do, because this is a short game, is I'm gonna take the Griffin and he's gonna jump again. So we're gonna jump to here and pivot. So now the Wolverine's front arc has nothing in view. I really need to know what the modifier is for jump. Oh, you know what? Because it's clear, so it's just 1, right? It's just that his attack will be a little bit more difficult. Alright, so now we're going to go into... We will be going into combat phase here. Weapon attack phase. Obviously, the Wolverine cannot do anything, so the Griffin is going to be a backstabber and shoot at the Wolverine. So let's do the LRM-10 first. 1, 2, 3. So the Wolverine moved into light cover. So that's 6 plus 3 because he jumped. The Griffin jumped, so that's 7. Hold on. This actually would still be... No, it would be... Would it be 2? Okay, so this is where my confusion lies, guys. When you move into heavy cover or into light cover, do the pips on the die reflect you moved into the cover? So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's just say it's going to be in... we'll say it's a 9. Yeah, I think it's a 9. It's most likely an 8, but I'm going to just try to roll 9. These are the LRMs. And I got an 11. So we're going to roll to see where that hits. On the 7. You know what? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So the Wolverine has been cored out. Completely obliterated through the center torso. Yeah. All gone. So that means that the Griffin has won this combat through shenanigans and jumping trickery. Really, I think I should have been jumping the Wolverine around too, because other than the weapon loadouts on each of these, they're both 55 tonners. They both have very similar movement abilities. It's just that the weapons were a little bit different. So anyway, that is the learning. That is the learning game. I know that I flubbed a bunch of stuff, so I would appreciate input from you guys, letting me know what I messed up so that, I can correct that for the next game. This has been fun. Actually, I'm having a lot of fun. I've had a ton of fun, and I'm actually looking forward to playing more from the beginner box here, but obviously that content's going to get old real fast since there's only 2 mechs. What I might do is actually take this and add a couple more of the mechs that the mech sheets that were included. So I think there's a Locust and Thunderbolt in there, and kind of see how that works out using just the beginner rules. And then obviously from there we'll move on to a game of Armored Combat. But ancillary to that, we're going to also be playing Alpha Strike. So James and I have already figured out what we're going to be playing. James obviously is going to be playing Wolf's Dragoons, which came out to about just under 200 points. And I made a 200-point inner sphere list that actually ends up with 2 lances. So obviously the clan, or the Wolf's Dragoons, have a better technology on their side, but I have the numbers, so we'll see how that balances out. But in any case, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I appreciate it if you would. Click the bell notification icon to get notified of all new games, all new learning games, and battle reports coming out of the channel. And then click the link in the description below and join our Discord server. That is the best way I can personally interact with you and chit-chat you about Battletech and any other game that we cover on both channels. Again, this will be posted on both Wargaming Noob and Wargaming Noob Historical. So stay tuned for more Battletech for both Wargaming Noob and Wargaming Noob Historical. Thanks a lot, guys.